Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of So Frail Conversations. We're gonna be on a real mellow tip tonight. Nah, I ain't even gonna fuck with y'all, yo. I'm gonna be serious. Today's episode, as you can see, So Frail Conversations, wisdom. This episode I want to discuss because I want to switch gears a little bit because I frequently speak on the peers, of course, my peers and everything like that. I frequently speak on the youth or what I'm saying, wanting to, pour into them, but I rarely speak on the elders. And I realized that in reading, and finishing up the final touches on So Frail 3, I have a section in there about wisdom. And as I look at wisdom and I just consider myself, I consider, my peers, I consider just everything around me. There's no wisdom in Black men. And I don't mean it in a sense of, to be disrespectful. You feel me? Because we have our elders. Don't get me wrong. We have our Kaba Kamenes. We have our, and rest his soul. It transitioned on. I hope I say his name right. Ranuko. I can't think of his last name. But he was a historian. He was a scholar and everything. He's one of the people that I studied a lot to put me onto things about, us being here before Columbus, just African history as a whole. Although they came before Columbus, the book itself was, Ivan Van Sertima, but that's not who I'm talking about. But he was an elder. He just transitioned on, left a lot of gems for the game, from the game. It's Ranuku. I can't think of his last name. Or maybe I'm saying his last name. I can't think of his first. But the point that I was making with that is that I can count on my hands the wisdom that was left as far as the elders that we have. Like, that's a problem. Like, we can count on our hands. And when I consider wisdom, when I look at how wisdom is developed, when I look at what it is and what it isn't, I see a dynamic in which we haven't been left with much. And as generations go, when the wisdom dies, the levels of the mind drop lower and lower. You feel me? They drop lower and lower to the point where there's no masculine essence that's tapped into wisdom that is going to help push and cultivate the culture, the people forward. So as I said, as I was writing and finishing up So Frail 3, I was just looking at it like, dude, where's the wisdom at? We have a lot of old heads still trying to keep up with the young bulls and shit, and the young bulls not giving a fuck about the old heads because it's like, bruh, you just a little nigga that's older than me, because a lot of it mentally, no bullshit, these motherfuckers are just the same. They're just old. You feel me? Their mind never matured or never developed beyond anything, and not in a disrespectful way. I'm just trying to be, expressive in what it is. And so when I look at the wisdom of the world, of the Black world, of, us as Black men, it's gone. And we need to, at this point, my peers, we're going to have to be elders. I mean, of course, we're going to be elders, but we have to start developing wisdom. We have to start gaining experience on other things, because if not, if we continue to just go through the motions and not actually put in any work and bump our heads and fuck up and make mistakes to learn shit for real and elevate our minds to the point of wisdom, we are going to fail our generation that follows us. But before I hop into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at no, not that page anymore. Damn. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at the Just Seen Podcast. Be sure to check out my website at iamjustseen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, sponsor, and donate to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you can do so by clicking the description of your podcast. Not the episode itself, but the full podcast. Cash App and PayPal are just fine. So that's that for this, and that's that for this, and that's this for that. So when we come back, we're gonna dive into So Frail Conversations, wisdom. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, welcome back. And without further ado, we're going to hop straight into this episode. So before I begin, I'm going to define wisdom as I have defined it in So Frail III, right? So in So Frail III, I said that wisdom is the skilled course of action or process that transforms something in a mysterious or impressive way, right? And the reason why I defined it as such is because when I looked at the archaic definition of wise, because a lot of people have been telling me, since I was a kid, like, yo, you're wise beyond your years and all of that shit. And I'm like, I never felt wise. I didn't know why. I just never felt wise. I felt like, yeah, I know a lot of shit. You know what I mean? I got a decent memory, but I didn't feel wise because I was like, I ain't really experienced shit. And motherfuckers would be like, well, experience, well, they'll be like, well, you probably experienced it in a past life or whatever the case may be, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, nah, I don't think that's it. And so when I was looking at the archaic definition of wise, archaic is usually the original definition of wise. It meant alchemy or divination. To be wise means to be alchemical, means to be divine. You know what I'm saying? And or practice of divination. So I'm like, the irony is that, when we consider wisdom, because we don't understand words anymore, I say it all the time, we fluently speak a language that we don't understand. So we say things that kind of conflict with the reality that we actually believe and live in as Black people, but yet we want to be that. So the reason why I'm saying that is because when we look at wise, to be wise is to be magical. By definition, no bullshit. Like, look it up. The archaic definition, which is the original definition of what it was originally meant for, to be wise is to be magical or to practice divination, right? So it got me thinking, like, now, understand when I say magical and all right, let me go in a little bit deeper. So in that, to know that something's magical and, tapped into divination, that's alchemy. That's alchemical. You feel what I'm saying? To be wise is to be alchemical. So to demystify all this shit, to make it not look so scary, like, oh, booga, 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 demons, demons, demons. No, it's alchemy, pure alchemy. So when we look at the archaic definition, I'm going to get back to the topic, but I want to demystify the shit because I know how people get. But when we look at the archaic definition of wise, it means to be alchemical, right? To be magical, to practice divination. So people are going to say, oh, that's demonic. But yet, the wisest man of all time is supposed to be King Solomon, who belongs to what? The Bible, who is what? Okay. But anyway, that is the power of what I'm talking about how we fluently speak a language that we don't understand. You feel what I mean? So when people have always told me, yo, you're wise beyond your years, I didn't get it at the time because I didn't associate what wise was. As I look at my shit now, I have been wise beyond my years in the sense that I have been creating magically shit in mysterious and impressive ways that I have no idea how I did it, except the fact that I did it. You feel what I'm saying? And then that's where it started to make the connection to me that I have access to another level of my mind to where the definition of of wisdom, as I said, is the skill, course of action, or process that transforms something in a mysterious or impressive way. Yeah, I'm reading that motherfucker because I don't remember it off the top of the head. It's a lot of information in that book. But anyway, so in that context, when I put that into perspective, I have to consider the elders because they're supposed to be who's giving us our wisdom. See, wisdom is the third level of the mind. There's four. I always talk about, I have an episode on it called Belief, Knowledge, Wisdom, and Understanding. But it gets a lot deeper when I break it down in So Frail 3. But in when we're considering the mind, wisdom is at the third level of the mind, which means that's the mind where you practice alchemy. That's the mind where you turn nothing into something. And it got me wondering, when was the last time we've seen an elder make something out of nothing? It's hard to see that reality because now it ties into the fact that shit has actually worked to neutralize us and nullify us. Our minds have been reduced down to the state of belief. That's the first level of the mind. That is the very first level of the mind, to believe something. Motherfuckers don't even know shit. Motherfuckers are supposedly elders who don't know shit. They believe shit. And if it sounds good, it's presented a certain way. And another thing is that we have an elder generation, because we got to think about who's an elder right now when they were in their prime. So right now, I'm considered a person that's in their prime because I'm in my 30s. You know what I'm saying? We between your late 20s, early 30s, you quote unquote in your prime as far as the civilization goes, as far as the culture goes, as far as who you're interacting with as a people. The elders are 30 years after that. You feel what I mean? Because even if you look at it from a numerology standpoint, you have life cycles. Your first life cycle runs from birth to 28, your second one from 29 to 56, and then your final one from 57 to death, right? If you look at it from an astrological perspective, you have 2 Saturn returns, 3 if you live long enough. The first Saturn return is, between ages 27 to 29. So it comes back after 29 years. 27 to 29 years. Then you have another Saturn return when you're in your 50s, around that same time, double. My math is off because it's still early. But you feel me? That's when you have your second Saturn return. And if you live long enough, you have your third Saturn return. You feel what I'm saying? This shit aligns perfectly. Numerology, astrology, whatever. But in real time, when you're in your 30s, you're in your second life cycle. That is when you're actually the adult. For your first life cycle from birth until 28. Yeah, from birth to 28, you're a kid, technically. You don't start your adulthood until you are in your second life cycle, right? After your first Saturn return, you know what I'm saying? Starting at 29 and on. So right now, people that are in their 30s and shit right now, we're in our second life cycle. You feel what I'm saying? 30s or 40s. And then you're going to transition into your third life cycle in your 50s. That is when you're an elder. By then, your mind should be elevated at least to the level of wisdom. At least to the level of wisdom. But it's not. What happened? So the people that are in their 60s and beyond now, they're at their second Saturn return there. You know what I mean? What happened? What happened? You feel what I'm saying? Our minds were never developed the way they were supposed to be. So our the predication of everything that we're doing is why we're not able to operate from wisdom is because we speak in a certain way in which we can articulate and present a message that is based off of what we believe. And what I mean by that, and I'm not just speaking on religious beliefs or anything like that. We have been conditioned to believe that only Caucasian people can give us solid information. And I'm speaking on that generation, the elder generation. Of course, my generation, we know what's up. We've already deviated from that, but those are our elders. That's who's supposed to be giving us wisdom, but they can only take advice from people who don't look like them. They're that last generation of that shit. You dig what I mean? They're the last generation of that shit. So much so that it is a collective of that generation to where you can present them with any level of fact, but until it is validated by a Caucasian in an authority position, they don't believe anything you're saying. This has been one of the issues that I had to internally deal with as far as becoming acceptance. And because I used to think my elders were stupid. You feel me? In my development of myself and learning these different aspects of the mind, masculinity and all of this other shit, I have a different respect for my elders now. I respect the fact that, damn, bro, I know where your mind is. It's no longer a point of, yo, I'm mad because you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be that. They're supposed to be. But when you understand the different levels of the mind, I'm not talking about psychology and understanding how behaviors work. Because that's what the gist of basic psychology is and how we think, how we present it today. I'm talking about understanding the 4 levels of the mind. When you get to a point where you can understand what level of the mind somebody is on, and you know what level of the mind you're on, you have no reason to get mad at them anymore. You feel me? I know I got episodes on rants and shit about, yo, elders, they failed us, blah, blah, blah. I got YouTube videos when I was doing that shit. You feel me? I have conversations deeply. And then now I have matured into a space where I'm like, damn, their mind isn't there. Like their mind is stuck in a state of belief. Like they're only at the belief level of the mind. They haven't even gained knowledge yet. And here's one of the things about that makes it so difficult, because a lot of people think they're gaining knowledge when they're just reaffirming belief. One thing that I've discussed when I listen to a lot of my elders is that when talking to them, they just regurgitating shit. And I be like, explain what you mean. It's hard for me to explain, but like I don't just got to do shit. That's a believer's mentality. You reaffirm your belief. You trust in what was said to you. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. You trust in what was said to you. And I sat at the feet of a lot of my elders and I was like, bruh, you don't really know shit. But yet you speak matter of factly as if you do. And they don't know shit. They just reaffirm their belief. And that was something that made me stop putting so much pressure on them, especially when I understood the different levels of the mind. Because I'm not going to toot my horn, but beep, beep, motherfucker. Look, when it comes to my level of the mind, I've been at the level of understanding all my life. So I never really knew that there were levels. I just assumed everybody else was on the understanding level of the mind. And as I learned the mind, I realized that wasn't the case. When I listened to the elders speaking, I'm like, that sounds stupid as fuck. But it's not stupid as fuck to their level of mind. See, when you are able to at least transition into the wisdom aspect of the mind, you have experienced life. Not only experienced life, but learned from the experience and transmuted something out of them. A lot of the elders were traumatized by their experiences and they didn't grow and develop outside of the experience that happened to them. You can only transition into that next level of that mind, of the wisdom, when you learn how to alchemize your situation and your circumstance. Here was one of the common themes that I looked at listening to my pops. Me and my pops had a conversation and I was 26 and he said the words, yo, the white man won't let me have nothing. And I looked like, that's that generation. That's that generation. You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm like, what you mean? The white man won't let you. I'm like, bro, what do you mean let you? Well, they block everything off. They just stand the third. That's his belief. He doesn't know that. He hasn't, he hasn't overcome the experience to know more than that. So he damn sure don't understand it, but he definitely believes and it's been reaffirmed. And I can't get mad at it anymore because I'm like, bruh, this is where your mind is at. So when I'm talking to the elders and I'm listening to the wisdom that they don't have, and I be looking like, they be like, how do you have so much wisdom in you and you so much younger than me? Because I actually experienced life. Not only do I experience it, I transmute it. I have a podcast episode on the 12 immutable laws of the universe. One of those is the law of the transmutation of energy. My experiences, I just flip them. Like I flip them. Like they always say, yo, make the best out of a situation and blah blah blah. Not only do I make the best or the worst out of a situation, I make it. I make it. Like I learned that the alchemy is like whatever ails you, you flip it. You feel me? I grew up in poverty, but I didn't internalize that I was supposed to be impoverished. You feel what I'm saying? Like I never internalized that I was supposed to be impoverished. So I didn't. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like it never affected me like that way. And there's a lot of situations that I have in my life that would have completely broke the average person, would have completely, they should have broken me. Like that's what they were designed to do. But it just taught me to put myself together another way. I've learned that, when you're broken, when something breaks, you feel me? It just means put it together differently. You know what I mean? When a foundation crumbles, it just means build it stronger. Like there's nothing that can really stop me from that. And that aspect led me to look at my elders differently. Because when I asked my elders, like, yo, why didn't you try to do this? Well, it just wasn't meant for us. We just got to let go and let God, or whatever the case may be. And I've learned that that's always been my biggest issue with the religion. You feel what I'm saying? It's not like I'm going to go back or no shit, because I understand it. I don't have to believe in it anymore. But I understand where they come from. They hold on to that stuff so true that they believe and they stay in an infantile mind. These same elders that I'm supposed to be looking up to and getting advice from call themselves a child of their deity. You're a child of your deity? You never grew up? Even the book itself says it several times. One, it says you are gods. It says that twice. And then it says, when I was a child, I did things as a child. I thought like a child, I acted a child. When I became a man, I put those childish things away. What childish things do you have if you think you're still a child of God, or a child of Allah, or a child of Krishna, Buddha, Yahweh, whatever? You still think you're a child of it. What are you supposed to be when you become an adult? That's where the level of the mind taps into, where you have the experience. The experience is supposed to take you to that next level. But experience isn't just sitting through shit. It's learning how to alchemize through your problems. That's something the elders have not left the skills on how to do. It's a conversation piece where they believe that something can be done. You feel me? But there's no action behind it. There's not much experience as to what to do next. This is no shot towards the elders that are actively doing something, like the ones that I named earlier. But that's a handful. The elders is a community, bro, sis, all y'all. The elders are a community in which the people are of a certain age bracket. They sit within a certain age pocket. You dig what I mean? That is the elders. And like I said, the elders are in their second phase of life after age 58. I mean, age 56. Is it 56? 58. It's 29. Yeah, 58. My bad. So after age 58, they're in that. But after age 58, they're still in a state of belief. Their mentality, their mind is still in a state of belief. Let me break that down for y'all one more time. There's 4 levels of the mind: belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. By 58 years old, they are still in the state of belief. Many have not ascended to the state of knowledge, simply because to get from belief to knowledge, I know this to be a fact, and this is one of the things that I practice, and this is one of the things that I'll actually look at, and I'm listed in So Frail III. To transition from belief to knowledge, you have to pass through the wall of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance whoops a lot of motherfuckers' ass my age. When I listen into the elders, like, for example, this whole COVID shit, this Rona shit, the elders, as I'm listening to the elders, they're saying, oh, we're not scientists. We don't know. Like, they say, you got to trust science. You're trusting science that has never been done. You're not trusting science. You're trusting the scientist who's telling you to trust it. Because you don't know science. So you have to believe in the scientist. I'm on a roll right now. Let me fuck with me. This is the mentality of the elders. See, when I say the level of belief, people automatically go towards religion. They think I'm going to attack. No, it's the level of your mind that makes you believe in everything. These motherfuckers literally during the COVID shit said, we don't know what the fuck is going to happen. Trust the science that has never been done before. Trust the science that has never been done before. But let's take it back. This isn't the first time this shit was done like this. How many people have gone through a surgery that they said, we have never done this before and the risk of it are low, but we think it can work? Okay, I trust you, doctor. You trust the doctor. You don't know shit else about shit. So what are you trusting? That's cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is what separates belief from knowledge. You feel me? You have to break through the wall of cognitive dissonance. And the only way to break through the wall of cognitive dissonance is to study an antithesis of something. Whatever it is that you're involved in, you have to study the opposite of it and find where the two things coincide in the middle. That elevates you to knowledge. If all you do is support your thoughts, if all you do is support your theories, if all you do is support your expressions, or if you just avoid it altogether, you'll never pass through the wall of cognitive dissonance, which means you'll never leave the belief level of the mind. Many of our elders have never left the belief level of the mind. I'm seeing many of the big homies right now because, you know, that's the age pocket I'm in right now. I'm a big homie and shit. But many of the big homies have not even transitioned into the state of knowledge yet. And I watched it, especially this woke community. You feel me? I fucks with the conscious community. I fucks with it, but it has its limitations too, because now motherfuckers want you to believe some shit. You feel me? And they create a new level of belief. And it sounds good to regurgitate knowledge, but then how do you apply it? How do you apply it? You feel me? I watched motherfuckers who quote unquote became woke with me in 2014, 2015, right? How the fuck did I eclipse them? I say this all the time. Everybody calling themselves gods, but no new worlds are being created. Why call yourself a god? Black man is God, black woman is God, but you ain't creating no motherfucking new worlds. Dudes is doing it to get some pussy and shit. I ain't gonna hold you. I mean, yoni, because you know we're woke and shit. Yoni. But you feel me? And then the sisters, they self-esteem has already been so fucked up to go from being called a bitch and a hoe to now being called God. Shit, nigga. That's a shock treatment for your ass. But that's not the sake of the conversation we're talking about. We're talking about wisdom and how that experiential factor is gone, because now this is the level of your time frame when we're supposed to be developing knowledge. Belief was a childish thing. The belief level of the mind is about being a child. That is your first life cycle of life. Why do you think between the ages 27 to 29, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck who you are. Between the ages of 29, 27, and 29 were some of the hardest moments of your life. The hardest moments of your life. I can assure you. The reason why I know this to be true is because you went through your Saturn return. And your first cycle of life ended according to a numerological standpoint. So esoterically, from the numerology standpoint and the astrology standpoint, your first cycle of life ended. The numerology just says, hey, this is the end of the cycle. But the astrology says, oh, bitch, we about to shake shit up. When you come out of this, you're going to be different. You ever notice how motherfuckers' mentality changes? Like once they hit 30, it's literally like almost a year's change. Like you be like, bro, you look different. You feel different. Like you just got that. You got a different look about you. That Saturn return to do that shit to you. That shit for 3 straight years. It puts you on your ass. You got to keep fucking fighting. That is the moment when belief is shattered and knowledge is accepted. If you accept that shit. Everybody goes through that motherfucker. But you go through it on the inside. And you got to keep working. You got to keep going to school. You got to keep putting a smile on your face. You got to keep impressing and shucking and jiving and doing whatever the fuck it is that you do within that time frame to act like ain't nothing wrong with you. That is a critical moment in our lives. But it's at that moment where we're supposed to transition from beliefs to knowledge. You're gonna face a lot of cognitive dissonances in that motherfucker, especially about yourself. You're gonna start to see things about yourself that you didn't know were about you. You're gonna be looking at yourself differently. You're gonna be tapping into something totally different. You're gonna realize that you're not who the fuck you thought you were. You were who you become, right? The elders went through this. You feel what I mean? The elders went through it twice so far. And yet they're still holding their mask on. So that time frame between you in your 30s, your early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, that time frame, that transitional window between when that Saturn return happens and when your first life cycle ends, yeah, you're supposed to level up. You're supposed to gain knowledge, but what happens? They don't. They don't. They get so deeper into that dark phase that they're like, okay, bam, I need to go deeper into where I am. And they stay there. So for the next cycle where they're supposed to be enhancing their knowledge and starting to prepare themselves to transition from knowledge to wisdom, they don't. Like, this is a cheat code. Don't get me wrong. I'm giving you a cheat code. You don't have to necessarily wait till your life cycles. Once you understand how the mind works, you can tap in when you want to tap in. I'm just saying, I'm proof. I'm proof. Not only am I proof to people, the clients and stuff that I have spoke, I have helped them do that shit to reach the level of understanding of the mind. It's a process and it stretches, but you got to be willing to do that. Your mind is literally like a rubber band. If you try to jump from belief to understanding, it's going to fuck you up. But this is one of those reasons why I always say this. No, not always say, but this is why I said at the beginning of this episode, we fluently speak a language we don't understand because we use a lot of synonyms and shit interchangeably. So you ask somebody, do you understand? They be like, yeah, they don't understand. Most motherfuckers don't understand what they hear. They believe what you say. You feel me? I was mentioning this in the previous podcast episode about how, I used to always post some shit and motherfuckers would be like, yo, that resonates. I don't know what it means, but it resonates. You believe me. It don't resonate. You believe me. That's all. You believe me. I have already developed the level of trust within you to where what I say, you hold on to. You believe me. Because you don't know what I'm talking about. Knowledge is the second level of the mind. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you damn sure haven't experienced it. Therefore, you do not understand it. And yet you want me to believe it resonates? To resonate with something means you have to have the understanding of it. So like I said, we use these words interchangeably. You feel me? So now the elders have operated from a perspective for a long time where they have been speaking things. Oh, I understand this. And they just believe in it. You feel me? They believe in it. They don't understand the shit that they talking about. They believe the source that gave it to them. And they spoke so matter-of-factly of what they believed, they convinced themselves that it was real. This is why cognitive dissonance shakes foundations, because when you present the information to them, it blows their fucking mind. Case in point, I told my family that, y'all should go plant-based. The Bible say we can eat meat. Actually, in Genesis, the first book of the Bible, 1:26, it says, let the fruit be thy meat. You can hear rat pissing on cotton because I said, so now if you're eating meat, because if you need that validation that this says you can do it, you can do it. Now you have the permission to do it. Oh, well, I still can't give up this. They have their belief. The belief level of the mind is already set. You can't do nothing about that. When you understand that, you can't do nothing about that. My issue with that is that as men, masculine men, how the fuck are we leading? How the fuck are we protecting and providing? How the fuck are we doing all of these things when our mind is only on the level of belief? I'm not talking about just my peers right now. I'm talking about the elders. We have been led by motherfuckers who lacked understanding. A whole cultural shift, the whole cultural dynamic has been solidified by motherfuckers who did not understand. And they did not understand because they did They collectively fought to be civil, not to be black, not to be human, not to be, not fucked with, just to be civil. And they set up a reality that fucked up the world for us. People be looking like, why the fuck, do the police get off with certain shit? Why the fuck can the police get away with this and this person was this? Anything that they can prove is uncivilized behavior is what gets justified. They can shoot the shit right out of you. But if they can connect the dots to you doing something uncivilized, that cop will walk. Even if it's small. Even if it's small. A 12-year-old Tamir Rice waving a gun. The reason why that's uncivilized behavior. Black man, your people fought for you to be civilized. You feel me? Mike Brown, he was stealing cigars from a store. That's uncivilized behavior. Every connection to every murder, every time they killed us, there was something that they can deem was uncivilized. George Floyd was my family. When his situation came out, first thing they did, they came out and they showed the shit that he was a porn star and shit and motherfucking all of the other shit, but they showed uncivilized behavior. The mind was already programmed for it because this is what they already fought for. They fought to be civilized, which means they can't do anything wrong, they can't do anything but go to church and pray. Even when Dylan Roof shot the church up, none of the men did shit. None of the elder men in that bitch did shit. 9 motherfuckers got killed. 9 people were killed as they were praying. This is not a shot towards religion or anything, but this is a direct correlation to the belief level of the mind. Belief level of the mind is so powerful and yet so fragile at the same time. You feel what I mean? And as the men, the elders who have, quote unquote, set the tone for what we have to operate, this is how we operate as men. So now we're going to take it into what happened to the old days where the men did X, Y, and Z. They raised the very boys and the men that we are right now. The issue with that is that you held whoever that elder was into such high esteem that you didn't realize the reality that they were creating around you. The men that you were going to be gravitating towards, the men that you were going to be, developing with for my sisters and for my brothers, the men that we were becoming were them. They were them. We think the fuck boy is a new generational thing. We learned it. We learned it from an elder who had no wisdom. They put all of those things aside as they got older. Got back into church and everything like that. You already set the tone, my guy. You already set the tone to create this reality, and now you distance yourself from it because you got older. Your wisdom was never achieved because you were never able to transmute and create a different reality and say, you know what, I did something wrong. Instead, what you motherfuckers would do, what the elders would do is shit to say, you know what, I just realized that they just gonna stay the same. So ladies, we gonna tell y'all to think like men, but still act like ladies and shit. You feel me? Those are people that are stuck on a mental level of belief. The mind level of belief. I don't give a fuck how college educated you think you are. Education is just merely training to do a specific task. That's it. You're trained to get something right the first time. This is why uneducated people, they say they failed or they weren't smart, whatever the case may be, because you couldn't pass a test the first time. No human who's actually learning can get anything right on the first time. That's why we be getting fucked up. Because the system isn't even designed for a black man to learn according to masculinity. The masculine essence is how we have to learn analysis and deconstruction. We're taught synthesis and construction. We're taught to memorize shit. Men, we don't memorize shit. That's not our capacity. We understand principles. Therefore, we don't have to memorize shit. The feminine essence is detail. We have been taught to, like, this is no slight to the little sister that just won a spelling bee. You feel me? No slight whatsoever, because I respect it. You achieved something, you beat everybody out, you succeeded. But is spelling really that difficult? Now, I can tell you, I'm pretty sure this is why she was able to win it. You feel me? Because not only was she spelling the words, she was probably reading the definition. She was probably learning them and knew how to associate them. So she was learning. You feel me? Actively learning. But when we look at the grand scale of it all, to be able to be a good speller is just a matter of good memory. You feel what I'm saying? Good memory of some sort. You feel what I'm saying? Same with the ABC song. I forgot. I think I just said this another day, but it comes back. Teaching, yo, my son's so smart, man. He can say he know his ABCs. Where, yeah, sing the ABC song, and he sing the ABC song. Put the letter C in front of him and watch what the fuck happens. You feel me? Oh nah, he can't identify. Then he don't know his fucking ABCs yet. He knows a fucking song. But this is how we have been led to believe that we are learning. So our elders is the belief level of the mind is cool when you a kid. I don't care. Your first life cycle of life, but you're going to start to transition to where the shit that you thought you believed, and you're going to start to question it. You're going to start to come to terms, and you're supposed to punch through that wall and gain knowledge. People don't gain knowledge. And then the knowledge that we're supposed to be gaining is hidden from us. You only going to know what the fuck they want you to know. This is how this world works. But we in the informational age, bro. This information ain't hidden no more. You feel me? So the elders and shit, they never learned anything. They were taught. I touch on this in So Frail III. You feel me? It didn't dawn on me till I was literally having a conversation with the elder and everything. And I was like, he was like, yo, I was telling him something. And he said, that's not what I was taught. And I said, but that's what I learned. He like, but that's not what I was taught. And I was like, again, we fluently speak a language we don't understand. So to be taught, now I'm going to tie this back into the belief aspect and why it never leads to wisdom. Because to be taught something means that you just take on what a motherfucker you trust has said to you. Right? So we were talking about investing. We was talking about trading and investing. And nigga was like, he said, you know, that's just gambling, right? I said, no, it's not. He said, yo, he said, I was taught that, you know, it's just gambling. You better. I said, well, I learned that it's not. But I was taught this, that, and the third. So you might want to look at it. Bruh, I learned that it's not. It's a strategic manipulation of the market that you have to understand. This ain't a gamble. Whatever. And when they get to that point, the cognitive dissonance kicks in because they are now not, they can't trust you because you're younger than them. So they can't trust the knowledge of another person. But I realized in that capacity, I was like, bro, we are literally, I'm like, you telling me that I can't, like, you telling me that what I've learned, like, this is where some of us get fucked up mentally because we're like, you're older than me. You're supposed to be on a level that I'm not. You're supposed to be able to see this. It's like, I'm telling you my experience. You're telling me your belief. Hey, huddle up, broskies, because it's time to elevate. The secret to evolving masculinity is to define it, understand it, then apply it. The So Frail series defines masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. From this definition, I explain how masculinity is not just the hat that we wear, but it's the essence that we must exude through application. If you enjoy the So Frail conversations, why not read the books that inspire them? Visit IamJustSeeing.com right now to add the So Frail series to your library to get a better understanding of what masculinity really is. I promise. After reading So Frail, you will never look at masculinity the same again. And you're speaking to me about your belief and you're trying to rattle my experience? That's what happens when we are in that polarity, when our elders are stuck on a level of belief of the mind. And we don't, and because of the way in which the language is so coded and fucked up, they be literally telling us some shit that they believe in and we think we're hearing experience. Nah, they just said it enough times to program it within their mind so they can feel confident. They can feel confident saying it. They haven't experienced that shit. They have not experienced that shit. They believe in what they're telling you. That is dangerous waters, because when you are actively doing shit, you like, I have no, like, that's where arguing comes in. When two people are arguing beliefs, it's because the motherfucker I trusted didn't say that shit. Well, the motherfucker I trusted did say that shit. Well, the motherfucker you trusted is wrong. No, the motherfucker you trusted is wrong. But you're arguing this shit as if either of it is right, as if you've actually quantified and qualified the situation. You dig what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, why? Why? Because that is that level of the mind. That's what it's supposed to do. I didn't realize this until I reached the understanding level of the mind. And I'd be looking at motherfucker, they be like, yo, why you don't talk about certain, cause there's nothing that you're a believer. I can't talk to believers about shit that I understand. We can talk about shit I believe, because then we can go back and forth, but I don't believe in anything anymore. You feel me? I had a conversation with somebody and it was like, so what do you believe in? I was working when I was in Philly. I was working with some of my employees, and Shorty asked me, she said, what do you believe in? And I was about to give my what I believe in, right? And the dude cut me off. He's like, he don't believe in nothing but himself. I'm wrong. You feel me? I'm wrong. Now, he was one of my peers and shit. And so I'm gonna show you the psychology of how the belief level of the mind, it works to where you have to trust something. Like, you have to trust something. If you can't trust in what the message was that presented. So in the context, he was like, so there was like, he said, look, this is what he said. This shit blew my mind. Because he was like, yo, he only believed in himself. And I was like, that's a problem. And so I corrected it. I was like, nah, it's not that I don't believe in anything. I said, it's not that I don't have anything to believe in. I said, I don't choose to believe in anything because I understand it. And she was like, what? I was like, well, I understand anything that I put myself into. So there's 4 levels of the mind. I sit at the understanding with everything I involve myself with. If I have to believe in it, I don't know it. If I don't know it, I can't experience it. And if I can't experience it, I can't understand it. If I can't understand it, I don't need to be fucking with it. It's that simple for me. But if in the world that I live in, I have to fuck with everything, so I have to understand anything that comes into my mind, because the belief can manipulate you, right? So this same brother that was like, he don't believe in nothing but himself, he said that he believed in Jesus, right? I don't have an issue with that. Right? But in that same token, we had another conversation where we was talking about our manager. He was like, yeah, he could fly airplanes. Like, he got a pilot license and shit. We didn't know that shit, but we just found out. Like, he had a pilot license. He was like, yo, he can't fly no fucking airplanes. The same dude. He was like, I'll believe it when I see it. Me, I was quick with it, but I was like, nigga, you believe in Jesus though. You feel me? And one of the things with that, especially when it comes to our religions, I'm just using Jesus right now because this is the conversation at hand. People get so caught up in the experience of a supernatural phenomenon, right? A supernatural experience of life, and being at the belief level of the mind and not having anything to associate it with. So they associate it with the only thing they're told to associate it with. Anything you can't comprehend is a deity, right? Anything that you can't comprehend that is for you is a deity, is a good deity. Anything that you can't comprehend that is against you is a bad deity. For a long time, the elder generation that told Black people who were going through depression, going through anxiety, going through mental health issues that it's just the devil. No, nigga, it's not. You feel me? I heard a conversation. An elder was telling me about how one of the children, like growing up, that one of their siblings was beat because he couldn't read. Like, beat bad. Like, every time he would try to read, they beat him because he couldn't get the words right. He didn't know that they thought he was playing. They thought he was like, they try to beat him in the reading. Come to find out, the motherfucker was dyslexic. It's not that he couldn't read, but he couldn't read. And this whole time, you're beating him. This whole time, you believe that you can beat him into being able to read instead of knowing the cognitive function of what's wrong with him. I don't believe that something could be wrong with my child. I don't believe that there can be anything outside of that. You feel me? And this is how the older generation is built. You feel me? The elders that I talk to that are like, yeah, I want to study what you can't study what I study because you'll never come back. I've learned that shit too. Like my peers, they'll ask me what books I'm reading. I'm like, y'all got to realize y'all are at the level of belief. I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I can tell through conversing with people that you try, like people ask me, how do I retain information? Because I make sure I put it in the right level of the mind. Once I understand it, I don't forget it. You feel me? I had a homie tell me, yo, you got photographic memory. No, I just understand what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't believe in it, therefore I don't have to memorize it. So that's one of the things I go through into my sessions. I don't even know if my students, they caught that shit. Like in the beginning, I'll be telling them, don't try to remember this shit. I break them out of the mentality of belief. Like, you feel what I'm saying? And it's not that I break them to make them think how I know. I show you how to get to your level. And then show you that whatever that you're looking at, there's an opposite to it that you got to understand. The truth sits in there. When they get familiar doing that, then they start gaining knowledge. Until then, they just believe it. They just believe it. And because of the type of person that I am, and I do have true understanding, I try not to, like, I know people can easily believe what the fuck I say. You feel me? You've heard it several times. If you made it this far into the podcast and you've been listening from day one, you've heard me say, don't believe shit that I say. Go fact check me and then prove me wrong. That's why I say that shit. You feel me? When I used to do my long caption breaking down information, I'm like, now I could be reaching. I be knowing I'm not reaching, but I say it. I could be reaching. Go check me out. Because I know that most people are either going to take what I say because they trust me and they believe me because I know their level of the mind, or they're going to automatically try to go against me because they don't trust me or they don't fuck with me or whatever the case may be. And it's like that level is where things going. The elders will not listen to a child because they can't believe them. This is one of the reasons why the elders are stuck and they can't grow, because they do not learn. Everybody that they learn from dies. Everybody that they were supposed to be getting, I ain't gonna say learn, I'm gonna take it back to how I mentioned it earlier. Everybody that has taught them is dead. Not on any funny shit, but if you the elder and shit and you were taught by an elder, they're dead now. They have nobody else to believe in. They have nobody else to trust. So they can't learn from people younger than them. They can't learn from people younger. And one of the biggest curses of us as Black people and the Black elders that we have, they can't learn from Black people that look like them. They can't trust in that. And that is a level of the mind tied to belief. I suffered from that on 2 occasions. Now, when I first became woke, I was an angry motherfucker. I ain't even gonna hold you. I had to smoke for all the elders because I'll be trying to tell them something and they be, I'll be like, now I understand. Oh, damn, y'all just had the level of belief of the mind. Not only can you not trust me, what I'm saying, because I'm younger than you and I'm a child in your eyes, I'm also Black. You've never had the capacity, your belief level of the mind never allowed you to understand that you can learn something from a Black person. So that's one strike against me. Then the other side is that children are seen, not heard. They don't know shit. Damn. How many of us have gone through that exact same shit? How many of us have been in that exact same situation where we arguing with an elder and shit like, yo, I'm telling you this is what it is. And then they come back to you, tell you they heard some shit from Dr. Oz. They saw on the news that this happened because they already been programmed to only operate from the level of belief of the mind. They don't even know it. They think because they're educated, they think because they reached the level where they got their degrees or whatever the case may be, blah, 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 that they have understanding or that they're knowledgeable about shit. No, you're a believer. Your entire degree is about you believing what a teacher told you was right. Sit with that. Sit with that. Your entire degree is about how well you were able to be taught. Not how much you learned. How much you were able to be taught. How much you retained what you were taught. And we wonder why. There's a show called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? They know they're not teaching you. They know the school system doesn't teach you to understand. It teaches you to believe what the motherfucker told you. Right? If that person teaches you one way, teaching should be universal. If you are really taught, I mean, learning is universal. Teaching is individual, right? So what I mean by that is this. If you truly learn something, it don't matter who the teacher is, it don't matter what course you go to, it doesn't matter how you change, you're gonna get it. I paid attention to this when I was in undergrad. You feel me? Again, I've always operated from the level of understanding. People be like, I don't want to take this teacher because I hear they hard. Bitch, it's the class. Who the fuck cares? Like, it doesn't matter what the teacher is. I never forget it. The class was math 129. And I had this African professor, right? And he ain't take no shit. You could not be a minute late to his class, nothing. Like, he ain't take no shit. Like, if you came in a minute late, he kicked you out. You be like, damn, but this was math 129. It was like trigonometry or some shit like that. You feel me? So I've always been one who would take the harder teachers, harder professors and shit like that. I didn't know why I did it, but I realized that it didn't matter who I was getting. Just give me the A. Just give me the course. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't like. And I've learned that I'll be watching my homies and shit. They be like, yo, I don't want this teacher. Why? Because I hear they hard. It's not that they hard. You're not going to be able to believe. You're not this person, because you feel like this is going to be hard. You're not going to be open to allow them. You're not going to be open to the trust that is required to believe them. Let me say that again. Because you don't like a teacher, because you don't like a specific module or whatever case, you can't find the belief part that allow you to trust it. Every motherfucker that I know that says, I don't like math, I'm not good at math. No, you never believed or trusted in the motherfucker that was teaching you. I don't like science. No, you never believed in or trusted in the motherfucker that was teaching you. Why? Because those things are too analytical. Those things are too masculine in essence. Mathematics and science are too masculine in essence. You can't memorize shit. We don't even know that we've been programmed to memorize shit until it's time to look at math and science. You feel me? You can't memorize math. You can't memorize science. You got to do the shit. It's action oriented. You just got to do it, right? So now when we look at the elders, I'm going to take it back. When we look at the elders, right? And we look at the degrees and we look at the accolades that they have. And now they have switched from, now, like I said, the degree was just basically how well you can trust the motherfucker that gave you the information. Trust them enough to accept the answers that they gave you so you can pass their test. Really let that marinate for a second, another second. These elders that brag about college degrees, it's different once you go through the motherfucker and you realize, yo, you feel me? And again, another thing that stuck out to me, we be going through his testing class and shit. Like, you feel me? We be studying in class, going over the content, going over the information. And somebody will be like, well, what do you want us to know for the test? And the teacher will tell you what they want you to know for the test. Fuck the information. Fuck the material. Know what I want you to know to pass the test. There's so much other shit out there. You feel me? So when I look at how I used to have science classes and shit with some of my peers, and they be like, the test wasn't like the study guide. How did you still pass? Bitch, I'm not stupid. The fuck? I didn't get it then. So I would laugh at them and be like, I'm not stupid. The fuck? Like, what you mean? They be like, nah, but they switched the study guide. So they didn't change the material. Bitch, this still biology. You feel me? Like, I don't get it. This is still chemistry. I don't give a fuck how they changed the test. This is the course. I'm saying that to say, how many of our elders, they gone through the colleges and shit for that very reason. You feel me? They learn how they were taught. Now they get older. Their mentality is still stuck on that. Their mentality and their mindset is still stuck on, I'm only going to do this right here. This is what I do. You feel what I'm saying? But this is what I believe that I've done. Right? I don't know any of the shit that I'm talking about. I don't. Being in med school, A lot of motherfuckers, even still now, motherfuckers that have finished med school, they just been thinking they smart. They're not. You feel me? I knew this doctor that I followed on social media and shit. She was encouraging motherfuckers to get the vaccine and shit. She was like, well, you don't listen to these Instagram people. And I'm right. Right. Don't listen to these Instagram motherfuckers. But I'm not just the regular Instagram motherfucker. I studied forensic biology. That's the difference between, and this is why I realized the universe put me on that path. When I learned forensic biology, I wasn't taught it. I wasn't taught it. I learned it. My professor didn't give a shit. He ain't like my advisor, the curriculum. He's like, yo, this is an experience-based thing. Like, you can't just, he said, you guys got to know how to do this. So it wasn't just read the book and give him an answer. Why does this answer work? When I ran genetic analysis, I know how to run a genetic analyzer to match the alleles to find out a genetic template. It takes about, what is it? It's 12 alleles got to match for a motherfucker to be, aligned and confirmed and shit like that. PCR, I learned that shit. I learned how to break. So when they came out and they said mRNA technology, I had a whole fact checking troll come at me and said, that's basic high school shit. Then when I started going down the gamut, he said, wait, well, I checked with a geneticist and a doctor. Oh, nigga, it went from basic high school shit to you needing to come in. I was like, all right, bruh. All right. But I'm just the mean guy. But the purpose that I was saying with that was that this person was supposed to be on that level. She made the post about get the shot, took her whole shit down. Something happened to her. I'm not going to say she died or I'm not going to say she got sick or something like that, but I can tell something changed in her after she got her shot. Her shit ain't the same no more. Her shit ain't the same no more. She even looked different, but I ain't going to get into that part. You feel what I'm saying? Because they just came out and said some shit about I just found out some shit about the Supreme Court back in like 2013 or something like that. They had like once if they can patent DNA and put it in you and then they own you. I hope you ain't got the shot because yeah. But anyway, just look it up. Look it up. Don't believe what the fuck I'm saying. And that ties into the theme of what we're talking about today. The elders who are going through this right now, they're literally saying like, I've watched how, okay, we got to get the vaccine because this, that, and the third. And I'm like, they're like, you're not going, no, I'm just going to boost my immune system. I'm not worried about getting sick off this shit. I don't like, one thing that I learned is that their mind is, because they lack understanding, they can't change their lifestyles. They can't change their diet. Nothing can fit. They just have to continually go where that level of belief can be maintained. What I mean by maintained is that as long as they can find somebody to trust, they'll bounce from church to church and then they'll get to a point where it's just like, I don't feel the word anymore. No, you don't trust the motherfucker. You stop losing trust in the motherfucker who's giving the message. It's not the message itself. The book is yours to read. Read the shit. You feel me? Motherfuckers will consciously know I'm sick. I'm getting, like, the doctors are telling me it's because but why can't you stop eating it? Because you don't understand what it takes to stop it. Your belief, your level of the mind has you trusting the fact that you have to have this. First thing I was always asked, in the plant-based transition from people is, what do you do about protein? What do you mean? My body makes it. Wait, what? You got to get protein from chicken. You got to get protein from, no, you don't. That is, at that point, you're not even getting protein anymore. You're getting, you're not even getting the protein you're supposed to have. I said, did you know your body actually makes protein? But it needs the right amino acids in it to code and make the right protein sequence? Like, what? Yeah, protein is broken down into a nucleotide or whatever the case may be. That nucleotide is then added into your template. When the protein codes, let me say it right because I don't want it to feel like I'm just bullshitting right now. Look, the amino acids, right? They break down when the protein breaks down, it breaks down into an amino acid. The amino acid has a nucleotide sequence that is supposed to connect with your DNA structure. Your DNA structure is broken down into 4 nucleotides, guanine, cytosine, adenine, and thymine, right? So those are the nucleotides, and they form in a sequence. You feel what I'm saying? And so your body needs the amino acids to be broken down into one of those things. And then that's what your body codes. So when your body says, hey, it's time for my hair to grow, code for the protein keratin. It's time for my nails to grow, keratin. You know what I'm saying? I need more elasticity in my skin, code for collagen. It will tell you that I need this, but I need the raw materials to do so. So it's not protein that you need, it's the amino acids. So the elders, you tell them that, man, I've been eating meat all my life and this, that, and that. Now, this is the belief aspect. It's like, I made it to this far and I've been eating and doing all this. How much farther would you have made it if you knew what the fuck you were supposed to be doing with your body? You dig what I'm saying? It's almost like the elders do not pay attention to the fact that how are you on a schedule? Well, I'm 55 now, so it's time for me to go get my prostate checked. How do they know exactly how the fuck your body is going to work over this amount of time to know that at this moment it's going to start being a problem for you? You don't think that's an accident? Well, nah, because it just happens to everybody. Why? It doesn't just happen to everybody. It's made to happen this way. At a certain age, I can look at your stomach and tell that you've been doing a certain thing. Now you probably got erectile dysfunction, so now take the blue pill. They have given you everything to continue to make you believe in shit, to stay at the belief level of the mind. For everything that can be an ailment to you, there's a solvable situation to it. But for everything that's giving you an ailment, they give you a solution for it. Typically a pill. The irony of it all. Most elders are heavily religious. Most of the elders are heavily religious, and they tell you don't practice magic, but yet they fill their prescription faithfully. And if you look at the word pharmacy, it derives from pharmakeia, which is Latin for the word sorcery. God damn. Talk about a mind fuck. These niggas literally told you we are doing magic on you. You are accepting our sorcery. Let that breathe for a second. The pharmacy, pharmacology, all of that is magic. Tying it back to wisdom. The wisdom of somebody else is being exerted on you. It's exerted on the elders. They lack wisdom. They just believe that because they live that's the belief. I've been on this earth far more. I've heard this shit all my life, so many times in my life. I've been on this earth longer than you. You're not going to tell me. I've experienced far more than you. In my little bit of time, I've experienced more than you. Not only I have more wisdom than you because I actively learn and alchemize my shit. Now I'm at the point where motherfuckers is like, yo, teach me. I can't. I realize that I can't teach anybody things. I've learned, I stopped doing it. I know it seems like, bro, you got the whole master in the market course, and I only teach people who are willing to understand. There's people who just believe that they're going to make money. I can't teach them. I can only teach the people who understand that they know that this is a process that will give you money in the long run. You got to learn the process. People are the believers. It's like, yo, I just hit the lottery. I'll just go get me some scratch offs. Okay, believer. Old heads. You feel me? And so shit like this, like I said, is the reason why I look at the old heads mad. I used to be so mad at them. Like, I'd be like, yo, y'all left us nothing. You feel me? I had a podcast episode. I was talking about the spilled milk. I was heated in that motherfucker. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm like, yo, y'all motherfuckers couldn't wipe with the spilled milk. The reason why they couldn't take accountability because they didn't believe that they should have. The level of the mindset, that's not my problem. That level of the mind will never allow you to get to the level of wisdom because you got to get knowledge. Not information. You have to get knowledge. People don't like information can reaffirm your belief if it's one-sided. How many of your elders, how many people have you talked to that you love? Like, I promise you, after this episode, my brother's like, yo, look at the elders a little bit differently. I have a little bit more leniency with them. I get it. It's still fucked up. Don't get me. I'm still tight about the grand scheme of it all, but I don't fault them anymore because I know the level of the mind that they're operating from. They're not wise. You feel me? They're not wise because they weren't experiencing anything. You feel me? They weren't experiencing anything. They were just conforming and doing, because we got to think about who's the elder right now. They were the motherfuckers who was quote unquote walking with Dr. King. They was leading in the like that's them. That's them motherfuckers. These motherfuckers was literally their mentality was Linda, listen. Their mentality was to be freedom riders. Go down south where it was bad and sit in somewhere and get tortured. What the fuck point were you proving? That they indeed didn't like you? That they indeed were gonna fuck you up? What, what were you trying to accomplish? The very thing that they wanted you to accomplish, to prove that you can be civilized, to prove that you didn't have to be uncivilized, to prove that you were of a moral standing. So you solidified that. So anytime you deviate from that scope and that picture, that's what the reality is. So when we do something, when the cops kill, whatever the case, what's the uncivilized behavior? Because remember, these aren't the people who went to sit-ins. Because remember, they went to sit-ins, got burnt by cigarettes, hair pulled and shit, lynched, walked in the street saying, "We shall overcome." That was them motherfuckers. Right? And that's why they put the face on it. So when you're not doing that, you feel me? And then now you create the reality of we look at this bullshit and be like, yo, I hear people say all the time, they be like, yo, we're not our ancestors. Yes, you are. Hands up, don't shoot. I can't breathe. Nigga, yes, you is. You cut from the exact same cloth, motherfucker. Matter of fact, that apple didn't even fall off the tree. You still own that motherfucker. You feel me? So don't ever disrespect them. Oh no, we not our ancestors. Yes, you are. You're the same ancestors. Same shit, different toilet. You do the same shit. I can't see how they would go down there knowing that these people were going to do that shit. That couldn't have been me. Then go right to a motherfucking protest and get tear gassed. And still scream Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe. Again, you're showing them how much civilized you're supposed to be while not acknowledging the fact that you fought for civil rights. So when you're out in the streets protesting, when you're out doing these things, it's civil unrest. It's so many different terms and words that they use to tell you what the fuck is popping and what is happening. But alas, we don't listen to them. We just be thinking, we fluently speak a language we don't understand. You feel me? But I'm tying that back into the elders because when we look at how the elders play themselves out, they basically are on the type time where they're like, well, where should we go next? You know, I believe that this is going to ask your elder what they know. They'll tell you what they were taught. They're likely to tell you who taught them because they're in a mentality of belief. They don't know. And the sooner and the quicker you can understand that, because as kids, we've always been so tied up in hearing them speak and shit. And they were just speaking what the fuck they believed in, bro. They didn't know what the fuck they was talking about. That's what gets crazy. Because now when you older, you like, yo, you was always saying this. And then you found out, now you feel like you've been lied to. It's not that you've been lied to. You feel what I'm saying? They trusted a motherfucker. And in trusting that motherfucker that operated from this mental state of belief, didn't know to ascend to knowledge. And they're still at that level of belief, as old as they are. And there's nothing that can change that. They don't gain the wisdom. They just keep having to reaffirm their belief. They have to keep going into things that they trust that they can do X, Y, and Z. They don't think for themselves. They don't think. They get taught. And because they get taught, they don't learn. They just memorize shit. You feel me? And when you are in a space where all you can do is memorize and trust what somebody says, it's hard to learn. So our frustration as the younger generation who has to, okay, we feel like this is one of the reasons why I say I'm done with the elders and I'm only focusing on the peers and my peers and the youth, because I know the level of the mind that the elders are in. And even my peers, I understand what level of, like the youth, I can get them to understanding. My peers, I don't even try because they want to argue and fight. Because I can't get through them. I can't get them through I don't trust because you don't believe what I believe. You don't see? See? I have an entrepreneurs episode where I was saying that I learned marketing from a homeless man. This is where the level of belief transcends reality. It shows the reality. I asked the motherfucker, would you take financial advice from a homeless motherfucker? No. They homeless, the fuck? So you can't trust them because of their circumstance, whether they have the information or not. Do you not see how you're programmed to be taught and not to learn? Our elders, not only were they segregated and then brought into assimilation, they went to school with the white people, blah, 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 thinking that the white education was so much better. So much better. Till the motherfucking black kids went to the all white schools and we went to these motherfucking PWIs and realized that these motherfuckers were not smarter. They were just better at memorizing shit. You feel me? And their authority figures were easier for them to trust. You feel me? Graduating top of your class at Harvard, graduating top of the class at Yale. What does that really mean for you? Does that really mean you learned anything? Or does that mean that you were proficiently taught by who you were supposed to trust from this accredited institution? You feel me? And our elders are that generation who were the last to have their minds controlled that way. We're the generation who's breaking out of it. We know shit. We experience shit. You feel me? Like, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go ahead and tie it up. In the state of belief, when you have the level of belief in the mind, this is why the elders will say stupid shit like this. When I went to college, I worked a summer job to pay my tuition. I was able to buy my house before 30 right out of college. They're believing that the world is still the same way as it was when they were in their quote unquote prime state. You tell a fucking baby boomer that your salary is $30,000 and they'll tell you, I was making $30,000 when I was that age. That's a problem, cuz. That's a problem. In 30 years, entry-level jobs have not increased, but in 30 years, student loans have significantly increased, exponentially increased in price. Exponentially. But entry level is still the same. And you're going to tell millennials you just got to work harder. You think we're lazy? You think we're not doing shit? The average millennial right now has 5 bags. I don't give a fuck. You can't argue me that. The average millennial right now, just trying to survive, has at least, I ain't gonna say 5. They have at least 3 other sources of income, 3 hustles, including to their main job. And the millennials are like, you guys are just doing things that aren't like, you guys fucked up the world. And they fucked up the world, not because they wanted to, not because they were assholes that they were fucked up, but because they only operated from the level of the mind of belief. They never, ever, 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 ever ascended to the level of wisdom because they never gained any experience. They just trusted in whoever told them something. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. This was a good one. I ain't even going to hold you, yo. I ain't even really have an episode today. I ain't really have one. This one, I was like, yo, Let me just make something up. And it happened to flow well. I ain't even gonna hold you, yo. I ain't prepared for this. I usually don't prepare for these, but I really didn't have a way to go with this one. So I just looked in So Frail 3 and said, since it's coming out, let me see if I can talk about something. I just chose wisdom. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did because I want us to understand the elders a little differently. This is the only reason why I have patience with elders now. Because I reached the point where I understand the mind. I'm like, it's not your fault. It makes it you know, this brings so much credence to that Bible verse. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Because when you believe that what you're doing is right, it's right. When you believe that what you're doing is wrong, it's wrong. But it's all based in what you've been taught, not what you've learned. You dig what I mean? It's in what you've been taught, not what you've learned. And that's the biggest thing. Our elders have prided themselves off of what they've been taught. I got a degree in this. I got this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. But you still stupid, motherfucker. I love you to life, but you stupid. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. You trust what you believe, and you're speaking on that confidently. You're speaking matter-of-factly on that shit. Like you came up with the thought. What? I had an elder, right? Wasn't even in the room for the situation, but they heard the story so many times, they put themselves in the space. You ever heard a motherfucker like that? They were not there. You know they were not there because it was you and the motherfucker you telling the story about. And they're like, I remember that. No, you don't. Yes, I did. No, you don't. Some motherfuckers can believe into something so much that they can literally put themselves in the situation as if they were there, as if the experience was theirs. No, you won't there. Yes, no, you won't. I've told you this story enough times to where you have heard it enough, but you were not in that experience with me. A lot of elders do that. A lot of elders have done that. A lot of elders are in spaces and pockets where they have held on to, they have told a story for so, some of them has told a story since they were kids for so long that they believe it. They trust in it. This is why elders don't like being called liars. You feel me? If I'm lying, call me a liar. I'm not offended by it. This shit don't hurt my feelings. Oh, you a liar, blah, blah, blah. Did I lie? Yeah. I'm a liar then. Oh, you told a story. You lied. Simple. Because that means like when you identify that somebody has lied to you, you no longer trust them. There's no trust. There's no belief. You dig what I mean? Don't believe me. Like I you know, I never really understood this shit. And it's like, I don't want, like, I would never try to convince a motherfucker to believe me. Just understand what I'm talking about. When you can understand what I'm talking about, you don't have to believe me. You know, you don't believe such and such. Nah, I understand what the fuck they talking about. Don't you believe in? I understand everything that I'm talking about. It's not just knowing what the fuck I be talking about. I understand what I be talking about because chances are I've experienced it. You feel what I'm saying? This is one of the reasons why the podcast is what it is. Because I be giving y'all understanding based off of the fact that I've experienced some shit and I'm able to connect different stories. I'm like, come on, man. Like, how can, like, every story is a learning lesson? I learned something in everything. Yes. Like, I can literally I can relate to any one of my circumstances and provide you with some kind of message or some kind of gem tied to the theme or whatever it is I'm talking about. Because I understand shit. I don't just believe that this is the thing that's supposed to. Nah, I know, I've experienced, I have the wisdom, and I understand shit. And because I understand it, I can give it back away. That, like, quick shameless plug. This is why in my Master in the Market course, if you're enrolled in it, this is why I teach it that way. And I teach it in the way of heroes and villains. I like the whole shit is set up like a movie. Like, I'm like, yo, when you look at a superhero movie, it's the same thing. You feel me? You meet the hero, right? Then you find his antagonist, right? Then they eventually have a battle. You feel me? The first battle that they have is where the hero loses. You feel me? The second battle that they had is where the hero wins, which is, and then you have the final battle. Well, the last battle where the hero begins to win, he gets the upper hand in the final battle. And then the movie's over and it goes in the favor of the hero. You feel me? Like, the markets literally move just like that. You have a buying pocket, you got a pullback, a battlefield, an upper hand, and then a final push, and then it takes off. Then you get the credits. Like, it's just, you feel me? But I had to be able to see that. But I had to understand what the fuck I was doing. I had to experience it to say, yo, I can make this connection. Like, I got new material that I'm about to come out with. I just figured out this new shit, right? And it's called, I'm gonna call it Super Saiyans, right? Because, like, yo, it's a moment in the market just before takeoff where it's like a major blast happens and shit. And it's like, yo, bam, I've seen that happen several times. I'm like, what the fuck can I call this? Because now it's ready. I'm going to call it Super Saiyan. When you see a Super Saiyan, you know the fight's really over. If you watch Dragon Ball Z and shit, right? Anytime these motherfuckers was fighting, Goku, Vegeta, whatever, they get dusted off. As soon as they motherfucking charge up and they go Super Saiyan and they go to that next level that has never been reached before, boom, the shit goes in their favor. Like, you feel me? So that's when I learned I'm going to add that incorporation to it and shit. But you feel me? That was to say, there's levels to the mind. You feel what I'm saying? And when you stuck on a level of belief, you have to regurgitate. You end up regurgitating a lot of shit. Our elders, we can't be mad at them anymore. Well, you can be. You grown. You grown as fuck. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. But I think we need to have a little bit more patience with them. Because we have to, like, next time you sit down with an elder, next time you sit, like, literally listen to how they speak. They speak from a level of belief. It's never what they know. It's never what they've experienced. Like, the shit that they've experienced most times is trauma. You feel me? But it's what they believe. Find out what they believe, and it's always tied to what they were taught, not what they learned. You feel what I'm saying? Not what they learned. I know so many people, yo, did you know, like I had somebody ask me, I was like, look, bro. I was like, yo, they told me, look, just because I'm religious and I used to follow the Christian faith and shit. Motherfuckers like, yo, I know Jesus. I said, no, you don't. Yes, I do. I know. I said, you believe in Jesus. No, I know Jesus. I know Jesus is real. I said, okay, cool. Where was Jesus at for 18 years of his life? What you mean? Well, the Bible speaks on Jesus being born, him preaching in the temple at 12, and then him showing back on the scene when he was 18. Where was he at for 18 years? What? No, it's not in the Bible. They take 18 years of time out of the man that everybody knows where he's at, when he's at every moment. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're following this motherfucker around the whole time, and they've never ran into each other. But anyway, they followed this motherfucker the whole time, chronicle his whole entire life, but missed 18 years. What was he doing for the 18 years? This motherfucker tell me that might be something that you need to research. No, that's something you need to research. But you don't have to do it because you just believe in it. You feel what I mean? You have to believe in it. Like that, those are conversations that I have with elders. Like, I really be like, yo, this is level, there's degrees of separation. And now I'm at the point, because I understand, I just don't talk to them. You don't never talk because I can't. My level of understanding has no patience for your level of belief. Especially the fact that we're that far apart in age. You feel what I mean? And it's like, when it comes to that, we have to look at life differently. Because now that I looked at, this is one of the cycles that I decided myself that I had to break, because I was like, what is it that I don't like about the elders? And then when I came to terms with the reality that it's the fact that they have the mental belief, like they believe in things, not only like, and I don't want it to be like have blind faith in them like that, like, but they believe in things. That means that that's the level of the mind they're on. And I realized the frustration that I have with them for that. So that's one of the cycles that I had to break. Yo, push your mind to the level of understanding. You feel me? Because when you get to that point where this is why they used to get frustrated when you ask them something, they be like, because I said so, because they ain't know. You not trusting what they believe in. They want you to believe in them, but they can't articulate it enough for you to stop asking why. Because they don't know what the fuck they talking about. So it's because I said so, or It's do as I say, not as I do. Because they really are telling you that it's doable while they can't do it because they just believe it. They've been taught that it's possible. You feel me? That's why one of the things that I always want to live by is the fact that if I ever tell a child you can do anything you put your mind to, I always anticipate they're gonna ask me, did you? I've seen too many elders tell me that as a kid. You can do this, you can do this, and they weren't doing what they told me I could do. You feel me? All of the elders that, all of the men elders of my family, for the most part, they dropped out of college. I mean, they dropped out of high school. They didn't go to college. But you're going to encourage me that I could go? How do you know? Oh, because I know you smart. I know, no, you believe that I could do something that you can't do. That's it. And you're trusting that I do something that you couldn't do. Like, what merit do you have to validate that I can do this? Because your own experience is not there. But then you have the other side of that. Those who did go to college, those who did go, and you have to do it their way. Yo, when you get in here, sign up with this, like, that's what helps you get through this, motherfucker. That's not what's going to help me get through. I can't believe in that. Then it throws a disdain. Well, whatever. You ain't got to, like, you want me to believe your side and you're wrong. You want me to believe you and I can't. That was something that I really had to develop and learn about the elders. They don't really be arguing with us. They don't be really wanting us to, like, they want us to believe and trust what they say. They don't even know if what they saying is real or not, but they've held on to it so long that they think it's facts. They believe it. Belief is powerful. You feel me? They trust in what they've been taught, which is some fucked up shit. Because when you start to know shit and experience shit and understand shit, you be like, you've been wrong this whole time. No, I'm not. You just can't shake your belief because cognitive dissonance is going to kick your ass. But my brothers, man, look up. Don't let the elder discourage you, bro. Let's change this narrative and shit, and let's forgive them. Like, literally forgive them. I know a lot of the trauma and a lot of the pain is like, yo, they did some fucked up shit. Like, all of this, like, look at where their mind was at. If you can really contemplate and understand and see that, damn, there's really 4 levels of the mind, and these motherfuckers was only on the first level, I have no reason to be mad at them anymore. I just have to fix the circumstance and make sure that I don't become one of these motherfuckers. You feel me? That's all you can do. And don't laugh in their face when you start to, yo, bro, you just really only on the level of belief. Like, they be saying some real smart shit that don't make sense. It'd be like, damn, when I used to believe and trust everything you said, I used to fuck with, like, you really don't know what you're talking about. You feel me? It just sound good. But I'm gonna end it there. Be sure to kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. Yeah. And set the tone. Start elevating yourself to the mental level of understanding. Strive to do that. Go through the wall of cognitive dissonance. Once you get through the wall of cognitive dissonance, everything else starts to become simple, a little bit easier to get to. But you got to get through that wall. You got to be able to study antithesis or something. You know what I'm saying? Set your babies up to a point where you can provide them with understanding, not forcing them to trust what you believe. And again, not just religious aspect, anything. You feel me? I know motherfuckers have gone to college because their parents told them that they can do it and they failed out. And the parents was like, yo, you're not trying. Bitch, this ain't for me. You feel what I'm saying? Had you have known that, if you would have understood me as a person rather than trying to make me do something that you believed was doable, that you have done, or that maybe you couldn't do. You feel me? It ain't the same. You feel me? So reach that level of understanding so you're not forcing your babies to believe and trust in you when you're still unsure about yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that was one of the things that I started to learn. Like, when I look at a lot of the people who talk about, their parenting and the shit, that was like, I did the best that I could. The motherfuckers get mad. They were like, no, you didn't. Yeah, they did. The level of belief of their mind did not allow them to have the level of understanding to do more. It's okay. And they had to trust that they did the best that they could. Considering the circumstance, consider everything. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain things we got to realize that like that's like when you reach understanding of how somebody's mind works, it helps you see, damn, I really can't be mad at you, bro. I really can't be mad at you. That's how you forgive shit sometimes. Forgiveness is a matter of understanding. Reaching a level of understanding, realizing where a person's mind was like, damn, I can't be mad. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there, yo. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.